Okay, as part of the Python programming tutorial series, one is just using print to display information. Two is about storing information and data types in variables. Three is getting input from the user. And four is going to be about conditions, okay? So these are the basic ones to build up skills so you can do the more advanced level 1 skills. So anyway, let's open a Python editor and I'm going to create a new program and I'm going to delete all this and create one, and this one is going to be called is all about conditions. Okay, now conditions are a way of deciding what part of your code is going to run. Sometimes conditions are called branching statements because they can go in one direction or another. Okay, sometimes they are called condition stacks, conditional stacks. So there's a lot of terminology around conditions. So the basic first condition that you want to learn is called the if. And the if looks like this. Okay, so look at, there's different components to the if. It starts with if, and then there is the parentheses, the round brackets. Inside these is the condition that the if statement, whether it will run the code underneath. So if we tab in, we can run this code saying hi. Okay, now the condition here is it takes a Boolean type condition. So the condition has to be evaluate to a Boolean, which means true or false. Okay, so it has to evaluate. It has to work it out. So if we said, if age is equal to 10, for instance, I made a variable and gave it the value 10, and I put inside the condition and said, is the age less than 12? The condition, if this is true, it has to evaluate to a Boolean, which means either true or false. If this is true, then it will print hi. Okay, so let's check our condition and see where we know this has got 10 in it, and 10 is less than 12, so this should be true. So let's have a look. Let's run it. So, and it prints out hi, so it ran. The condition was true. Okay, so remember, it's evaluating if something is true or not. So let's try if we put in 15 and I run it. Let's check it. Now we know the condition here, age isn't less than 12, so this will evaluate to false. So it won't be true. This is false. So the condition is false. It should not run hi. Okay, so let's run it and let's check it. You'll see it didn't run anything. There was no code ran at all because it did not print there. Now, if I didn't indent it like this would give me an error because there is no condition inside this if. This if needs something to run. So Python uses indentation. So anything that is indented is part of the condition. This here is part of this condition if it is tabbed in. Okay. Now, if I have something like this, where I have part tabbed in, part not tabbed in, and then part tabbed in, I'm going to get an error. It doesn't like this part here not being tabbed in. Because this here is part of there, but this here stops the condition. So this is stopped the condition. It's stopped now. And this here now is indented wrong. It is not part of this here. Okay? So as soon as you have it unindented, it stops the condition, which means this has to be like that for it to run. Now, why did it say by there and it didn't say hi? Because remember, the condition is false. It's 15 and 15 is not less than 12. But if I change it to 20, the condition, we know that 15 is less than 20, so it is going to print hi by there. Okay? Alright, so there we go. So you can see that if it is tabbed in, it will run if this is true. Now, if we actually just type true in there and run it, it will always print hi. And there's no point doing this. There's no point because you might as well just write hi. Because if this is always going to run, then why not just run it like that? So you don't need a condition. This is pointless doing this. It should have a condition, okay? If I type false in there, it is never going to run, okay? So we'll just, this is going to run after this is checked, okay? So let's have a look at it. See, after condition runs, but because this is always false, it will never run this. This means this can never run. It will never execute the code there. Okay, so you see that this has to evaluate. Whatever we put in here has to evaluate. So if we go, if age is less than, greater than 20, it's false. It'll never run. If I say if age is, we'll set that back to 10. If age is less than or equal to 10, it will run because it is either less than or equal to. So these are called relational operators. Okay, so relational operators. They are less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, okay, and this one here is equals, and this one here is not equal. Okay, they're called relational operators. So here we have less than or equal to, and so we have relational operators. If I said it's equals, that means 10 is equal to 10, then that will run. Because it'll run. Because age is 10, and this is equal to the number 10. So that will run. Okay, so if I go like this, it has to be greater than, I can use a logic operators. Okay, there is, so we've got relational operators. All right, and now we'll try what's called logical operators. And they are and, or. Okay, so or means that condition might be true or another condition might be, so let's go 15. Yeah, there we go. So this condition is, oh, hang on, we've got to go less than, we'll go less than or equal to 10. We know that is false. But this one here, age is greater than 13, we know that is true. So will it print this? Will it print it? I think it will, because with the or, the logic, one of them has to be true, the other one doesn't have to be true. Okay, so let's have a run and we'll see it in action. So yes, it ran. So it's like this. If I go, remember this wouldn't work. That will never run. But if I use the or operator, and this is true, then this is true, then one of them, that one there, will run. So let's check it, and you'll see it does work. There it is. Okay, so it is like this. Okay, when you use the or operator, one of them has to be true, or both of them have to be true. So condition is true. Okay, so let's check the or operator. Let's check it, and you'll see condition is true. Prints out, yes, because one of the conditions is true if you use the or operator. Now, if I write true for both of them, let's run it again. Yes, condition is true. One of them has to be true, the other one. So, of course, if I go false, it's still going to run. It's fine. Condition is true because this one's true and that one doesn't have to be true. Okay. Now, if I do this, false, both conditions are now false, so this will not run. And if we check it, you see it doesn't run. Okay, so with the conditions, we can use and or. So let's go, age is less than or equal to 15. All right, that's good. Now that will run. And let's do an and operator this time. And age is greater than 0. That is also true. So this, with an and, both of them have to be true. So here we go. It is true. And that is how we do conditions. That is how we do a condition. Okay. And now we want to try doing a, we can do a branching statement. So let's try a branching statement. An else. Not true. Okay, so we'll just do this. And this time we're going to run 16. And you'll see it'll either run this is run the condition as true, or it'll run the else. And this is the next step. And you see it runs the condition as true, but it doesn't run the condition, the other one. So this is a branching statement where it will run one or the other. And we can get rid of that last one, so we don't need that anymore. And that's the second type. Now, if we want to have another condition checked, we can go elif, and we can put a condition in there and then say, if age is less than 16, or maybe age is greater than 10, and age is less than or equal to 15. So we can then, with this elif, we can print like this. Elif is true. Okay, so we can actually put as many elifs in between our if and our else. You can't have an else without an if, and you can't have an elif without an if as well. Elifs go in between ifs and elses, but you don't need an else. You actually can do an elif without an else. Condition is true. Ooh. Okay, so elif should have run elif as true, but we'll check on that. So look at the code and try and work out what is going wrong with that code. Like, what is it missing? Why is the elif running and not running, or the if is running? Like, look at the code and look at the logic. And part of coding is about logic errors, because logic errors are the hardest ones to find. What have you done wrong? If you make a logic error, it takes a lot longer to work out what's gone wrong than a syntax error. A syntax error is when you make a typo or you don't write the program in Python correctly, and so it comes out it tells you where the error is. Whereas a logic error doesn't help you. So let's have a look. Okay, we'll call this one if, so it's easier to see. The if is true. So let's get rid of the stuff so it's easier to read. Much easier. If we start off with age is 15, and we know this is either less than or equal to. So let's make this one greater than or equal to. So this one is going to be false. Okay. This one here is 15 is greater, so that is true. And we're using and it is also equal to 15. So both of them are true, which you need for an and, which means this should run. And that's the only one. This shouldn't run. This shouldn't run. Only the elif should run. So let's check it. Yeah, the elif runs, and that's the only one in the list. Can you just check like multiple ifs? Like multiple ifs? Yeah. So, you know, like, can you just do this? Yes, you can. You can have multiple ifs, and it will check this one, and then it will check this one. But if you make an elif, only only one of the elifs is going to run. Okay, as soon as it hits one elif that is true, it won't do the elif underneath. So if we go is less than 10, even though we know this is true, second elif. So let's check it. You watch what happens. We know this is greater than 10, less than 15, so we know this is going to run. And this is also true, so let's check if this runs. Let's check. See, only one of them runs. So when you use elif, even though this is true, it won't get to this part. It'll stop and it'll carry on down here. Okay? It's gonna check that one. If that's true, it won't check any of the others. It'll skip them and go down to the bottom. If this is false, it'll check this one. And if this is true, it won't check any of the rest. Okay, so elifs, when you do a stack like this, an if-else stack, only one of them is ever going to run. Okay, so only one of them in the whole thing is going to run with a elif stack. Okay, last the else run else. Okay, so elifs. If you want to check each one so they can run, you can just use ifs, okay, and it is going to check every single one, and all of them can run. Okay, so if we do that, you'll see what I mean. So two of them, the elif ran and the else ran. So the elif is true. The else wasn't true. The elif was true. The second elif wasn't true. Because it's not less than 15, so it didn't run, and then that one. Let's change this one here to greater than 10. And remember, it's an if, not an elif. So you watch the difference. You see, its second elif does run. If we go make an elif, you're going to see that when you use elifs instead of just ifs, only one of them, the first one that comes across as true is going to run. So it comes across the first one that's true, and then it skips all the rest, and it goes down to the bottom and carries on. Okay, so that's conditions. Okay, conditions are you can have them like this by themselves, like that. You can have them like this with another statement, or you can have them with an elif, as many as you like elifs in between an if and an else, or just elifs without an else, like that. Just ifs with elifs. But anyway, conditions, you have to see how you have to write the conditions out in full. A good practice for you guys, if you're learning, is to put around every condition, like in mathematics, put brackets. And that way you're going to get into good habits, realizing you have to write the entire condition properly and not skip. Okay, so remember, this is going to be true, and this one has to be true as well. Or you could say just one of them has to be true. Either this one has to be true, or this one has to be true for this to run. Okay, so there's logic operators, there's a relational operators, and this is an if else elif else stack. Okay, so that is pretty much all you need to know about conditions. That's pretty much all you need to know about conditions. Okay, you can do ifs on their own, or lots of ifs underneath, or you can do a stack where only one of them runs, or you can just do an elif, which is like a branching statement. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something about conditions. Conditions have to have some sort of Boolean, evaluate to a Boolean inside the condition, or have multiple conditions using logical operators in between. And so I can add another one and have another age is equal to 15 or something. So you can have as many as you want, okay, using and, or you can use or, lots of different ways, okay, but you will get very unusual results if you have an and an or. You'll get very unusual results because this one here means these two have to be true. This one can't. When you use an and like this with two on the next to each other, this here means both of these have to be true. This here means this has to be true, or this has to be true. But as soon as you've added an and, this part here happens first. So basically, all of this has to be true, or this has to be true. So ands and ors together is very dangerous. You've got to be good at code. You've got to know what you're doing, okay? I would not suggest doing this. This is very dangerous. If you are wanting to be really nuts, you can do something like this. You can do reverse. You can say if age is not equal to 15, that is like not equal to 15. You could do that. Okay, so that's kind of not equal. Print not equal. So you can do this sort of thing, not equal. Or you could go like this, and instead of putting not equal, you can put not and reverse that completely. So if this is actually true, you say not. And that means as long as it's not equal to 15, it will run. So that's a very, very, that's a very, very crazy one to do. Okay, doing reverse logic has got to be careful. And if you go not equal, so if it's not equal, so basically it's not 15, and then go not. So it means it has to be equal. That's reverse logic. Super complicated, and it gets really, really dicey and very hard to know what you're doing, okay? And if you start mixing these up with logic like this, you're going to have a real complicated program, and you're probably going to make lots of mistakes. Anyway, hope you've learned something. Be very careful when you're doing not operators and using not, okay? Very, very careful with this not operation, because it means anything you put here is reversed. So if I write not true, the elif, if it was true, should always run, but this means it's false, so it will never run. It's very dicey doing this type of coding, okay? Anyway, and if I say not false, that means this is always going to be true, which means this will always run. Okay, very dicey. And of course, this isn't going to run at all if any of these are true, because it's not ever going to get down to there. Okay, anyway, I'm going to stop sharing because it's getting too long.